Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Bakes by Vasco. I'm Michelle with 1L, and happy Pride Month. It is the month of June, almost halfway through already. Can you believe it? The weather is still not really cooperating. We were going to go camping, and Mother Nature decided to have a crying tantrum, otherwise meaning it's raining. So we're going to be around, and we decided to bake for you, and we're going to bake something to represent Pride Month. I have a lot of friends that are gay, bi, trans, or are drag queens, and I love each and every one of them individually, always, no matter what. Some of them, excuse my emotional here, some of them have been with me through some of the toughest times of my life, and they are family. So I want you viewers out there to know that this is a safe space, and you will not be judged. So welcome. Now, let's get to that cake we're going to bake. What you're going to need for this bake today is 1 cup, 2 sticks butter. I am using 1 stick unsalted and 1 stick salted. Why? Because that's what I have on hand. You can use any combination and add 1/4 teaspoon of salt if you're using all unsalted butter. Just as long as you have 1 total cup butter. 2 cups granulated sugar, 4 large eggs, 3 cups all-purpose flour, 1 cup milk at room temperature, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. You will also need red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple food coloring, and rainbow sprinkles, plus a 12-cup bundt pan. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is preheat your oven to 350 degrees and make sure your center rack is placed in the center. Then you will want to grease and flour your bundt pan, which should hold 12 cups. Mine is a 9 by 0.75 by 3.38 is what I'm using today. So then, in a large bowl, you're going to want to whisk together your flour and your baking soda. Get them nice and incorporated, fluff out any lumps, and just set it aside. Then in the bowl of a stand mixer, mine is named Betty, you want to put your 1 cup of butter and your 2 cups of granulated sugar and cream them together on medium. You'll want this to go until they're nice and light and fluffy. This could take anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. Now that you have a nice creamy mixture, you want to add your eggs one at a time, beating well after each addition. 1, 2, 3, 'Why did the chicken cross the road?
Are you asking me? I don't know.
To get to come to my bakery to be made into a cake. 4. All right, now that those eggs are beat in there and they're nice and light and fluffy, you want to add your vanilla. Sorry. ADD moment. Now, you're going to take and alternate your flour and your milk mixture now, or your flour mixture and your milk. Okay, now you've got your nice creamy butter, egg, sugar mixture here, vanilla. You are going to want to alternate your flour and your milk. starting with flour and ending with flour. So I'm going to put a heaping scoop in there. Turn it on low. Turn it up when it won't jump out too much. Add a little milk. Not that stupid. Let's shut it off and do that. And then finally, the last of your flour. One time before we're done, we're going to scrape down the sides of the bowl, make sure all the flour and everything is incorporated. Give it a good mix in case there's a pocket in the bottom. This batter should be nice and smooth. I'll give it one final mix. And you don't want to overmix it because next we have to add coloring after we divide it into 6 separate portions. So I have to tell a story real quick. I always talk about that I'm a former musician. I'm a singer. I did some shows in some drag bars, and let me tell you, that was some of the best money I ever made. They are excellent tippers when they really like you, and they really, really liked me. So kudos to all of my drag queen friends out there if you're watching. I love you. Mwah. Now, let's get to the rainbow part. All right, you have your batter. Now it's time to dye it. You want 6 individual bowls to make the 6 individual colors, and you want them to be as even as possible. So we're going to start out with 1 cup each. So just take a 1 cup scoop, scoop it in there. It's kind of thick. Even it out and hit your first bowl. And then you'll repeat that for every color. When I was singing in the drag bars, I used my NSYNC bobblehead dolls as my quote-unquote backup dancers, and they got even more tips than I did. All right. We are at the end of our batter and still have 1 bowl left, so we're going to scrape down the bowl, and then we might have to rethink our calculations. So you're looking at about 3/4 of a cup of batter per color. First up is red. You want to start with 2 drops of a gel food coloring and then adjust from there to see how red it's going to be. I'm going to use my hand mixer with just 1 beater to do this to get an even mix. On medium. I can already tell that's too pink, so let's go ahead and add another generous drop. And then once more, 1 more. Yeah, so let's give it a real large squirt. And this is why you use a hand mixer, because it'll beat your arm off. Almost there. One more.
It'll work.
Go big or go home. It looks like I'm bleeding. I don't think it's changing color much anymore. So there's our red. Very well mixed. Next up, orange. Clean beater. Put the red lid on. Now we know from experience from that one, be very generous. Again, on medium. All right. Now we got our orange batter. The next step is yellow. Be very generous. Medium. Yellow. Green. One of my favorite colors is green. Everything's so green. Bonus points if you know where that's from. This green's stubborn like the red. So I'm a little darker. That's good. Blades one more time. Forget how things work. All right. Next up is blue. Wonder if I can get it TARDIS blue. Blue. And last but not least, my favorite color of all time, since I was 5 years old and first saw Donny Osmond's socks, is purple. Osmond's was my first concert. I was 5 years old. So we have purple. We have blue. We have yellow. We have green. I have orange. And red. So before we started, I greased and floured my bundt pan. I just used some butter spray and some regular flour. And you see it's kind of gross looking, but that'll prevent it from sticking. Now we're ready to assemble the cake. You're going to want to take your first color, which is red, and just basically pour it in here. You can't see the dough. You see the bottom of my bowl, but I'm a lefty. I normally would touch it with my fingers, scoop it off, but gel color really dyes bad. So let's do this here. Let's get a knife. Next up is orange. Pour it on in there, swirl it on over the top of the red. To yellow. And all I can hear is Chris Martin's voice in my head. Next up, green. And it's okay if your colors and your layers aren't completely perfect, because in this world, what or who is perfect? Next up is blue. Last up, but not least, purple. Out a little bit. And there you go. We're now ready for the oven, which has been preheated to 350 degrees. Place it on your center rack. And there you go. You're going to want to bake that between 50 and 65 minutes. So we're going to set our tiki timer to start with 450. Our little tiki timer went off at 50 minutes. So let's go ahead and give this a check. Pull it out. That is very purple. Take a toothpick. Test the center. That looks pretty clean to me. So we can take it out and set it over here on our cooling rack, where it will sit in the pan for 10 to 15 minutes before you remove it.
Okay.
Alrighty, it has cooled in the pan for 10 minutes. It is now time to invert it onto the wire rack. So what you're going to want to do is obviously put the wire rack on top of it. Carefully with pot holders. Turn it over. There you go. Off camera, I made a simple powdered sugar glaze, and I realized it's not enough. There, I started with 1.5 cups of powdered sugar and used about, used 5 tablespoons of milk. I'm going to add a little bit more powdered sugar, about another 1/2 cup. And a few more tablespoons of milk. And we'll mix it again. And there you have a nice pourable glaze for your Rainbow Pride Bundt Cake.
Yep.
All right, we are now ready to glaze our Rainbow Pride Bundt Cake. All you do is simply pour it over and let it run down. I put my wire rack over a large pan to catch any drips. And that's that classic Bundt glaze. Then we're going to generously rainbow sprinkle the whole thing. Ta-da! Our Rainbow Pride Bundt Cake is now ready to be cut and enjoyed. Are you ready? There you go. Look at all those pretty colors.
Okay.
Once again, I'm Michelle with 1L, and this is Bakes by Vasco. Thank you again for tuning in, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Once again, this beautiful classic bundt cake in beautiful Rainbow Pride colors was our bake today. The best part about baking, as always though, is the eating. It's perfect. I'll see you next time, everybody. Have a great day.